Malaysia, a popular country in Southeast Asia, is known for its seemingly peaceful nature and green landscapes. However, there is one case that continues to scare the Malaysian government even to this day. This case is so politically complex that there are serious evidence suggesting the involvement of multiple government officials. The murder case of Altantuya. I'm not saying this just to create curiosity. This case literally shook the government of Malaysia. The entire international media covered this case during the court trial, researching hundreds of court documents to somehow find an answer. Even 7-8 years after this incident, the Malaysian government was not willing to allow any international journalist or media spokesperson into the country to collect investigations or interviews. Except for one Australian news company, no international media was allowed to travel to Malaysia related to this case. This news company managed to interview hundreds of people, including government officials and lawyers. When the same company asked Altantuya's father to come to Malaysia to help them for investigation, he was too scared and refused. Instead, they interviewed him in Bangkok, Thailand. Upon their return to Malaysia from Bangkok, the news crew was stopped at the airport and deported to Australia the same day for breaching the investigation agreement. At least that's what the government official claimed. So what is about this case that even after all these years, the Malaysian government refuses to allow anyone to investigate and uncover the truth? The main reason this case became famous worldwide and attracted international journalists is due to two reasons. Reason number one, the horrific manner in which Altantuya was murdered. Yes, Altantuya was a victim. Her body was dismantled using C4 explosives and blown into multiple pieces. For those wondering, C4 is a powerful explosive used in military operations to destroy terrorist camps and buildings and in mining quarries to break rocks. That's the sheer intensity of the power of C4 explosive. People were shocked to learn that such a weapon was used to destroy a woman's body. Reason number two, the people suspected to be involved in this case are all high-ranking politicians. Najib Razak is a very powerful politician in Malaysia. Before this case, he served as the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Education. On April 3, 2009, he became the Prime Minister of Malaysia. Exactly after 3 months, he was pledged in as a Prime Minister. On July 1, 2009, an opposition politician and a private investigator called Balasubramanian organized a press conference. This press conference was directly related to the murder of Altantuya and was held at the People's Justice Party headquarters in Petaling Jaya. During this conference, Subramanian submitted a stationery declaration, also known as SD. For those who might not know, an SD is a legal document used to formally declare a statement or a piece of evidence is true, particularly in the context of research or an investigation. In this SD, Balasubramanian declared that Altantuya, the woman who was murdered, had an illicit relationship with Najib Razak, who had just become the Prime Minister of Malaysia 3 months earlier. Yes, a sexual relationship. Altantuya was born in 1978 in a small town in Mongolia. She completed her schooling in Soviet Union before returning to Mongolia a few years later. She married twice, but both marriages ended in divorce. She had 2 daughters, one for each husband. Leaving her children in the care of her parents, she decided to move to France to pursue her career in modeling. Due to her background of living in multiple countries, Altantuya became fluent in several languages. She was also a translator, expertised in Russian, Chinese, Mongolia, French, English. In 2006, Altantuya decided to travel to Malaysia. During her time there, she felt that someone was constantly following her. Fearing for her safety, she filed a police complaint. In a written statement, she said, "I was forced to blackmail powerful leaders due to an unexpected situation. These leaders made promises which they refused to fulfill. With no other options, I started to blackmail and threaten. And now I believe they want to eliminate me. I feel someone is planning to murder me." That very same night, after filing the complaint, she was kidnapped. Two well-built men kidnapped her from her apartment in Kuala Lumpur. These two men forcibly dragged Altantuya from her apartment and pushed her into the parked vehicle, which speeded away soon out of Kuala Lumpur. After traveling 60 kilometers into the dense forest, they reached Subam Dam. Altantuya was forced out of the car as she tried to run from them from the fear of death. One of the men fired a pistol, shooting her twice in the back of the head, killing her instantly. The two men then tied C4 explosives on her body and detonated it, blowing her remains into multiple pieces. After few days of no response from Altantuya, her cousin Burma Oichingme, who lived in Thailand, filed a missing person complaint in Bangkok. She mentioned that Altantuya last traveled to Malaysia and that no one has heard from her from several days. They weren't even sure of her exact location. Following the missing person complaint, the Bangkok police contacted the Mongolian embassy in Malaysia to initiate a search mission at Altantuya's apartment. Under the pressure of Mongolian embassy, it wasn't long before the police discovered Altantuya's body near Subam Dam, blown apart using C4 explosives. Forensic investigation at the crime scene revealed that the body has been dismantled using RDX and PTN explosives. This shocking revelation made headlines around the world, causing the case to gain international attention. Following the investigation, Malaysian police arrested two men. Shockingly, both the men were not just regular police officers, but members of an allied task force. Even more surprising, these both men directly worked under Najib Razak's security team. To prove that these men were responsible for the crime, Malaysian police submitted key evidence including statements showing that the two men stayed at the same hotel as Altantuya, CCTV footage revealing that they had been following Altantuya for days leading up for the incident, and also Altantuya's belongings including her wallet, gold ring and watch were found in one of the policemen's vehicle, which was all used in kidnapping. Police also identified the body parts, which was found near Subam Dam, as Altantuya's using DNA analysis, confirming her identity. Altantuya was murdered in August 2006. By 2007, when the case went viral, her cousin Burma Oichingme submitted a crucial piece of evidence. A photo allegedly showing Altantuya having dinner with Najib Razak and Abdul Razak Baginda. However, this photo was never made public, so it remains uncertainty whether the claim is true or not. This case gained even more attention once the name of Najib Razak and Abdul Razak Baginda started making headlines. In 2007, Najib Razak was the Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia, while Abdul Razak Baginda was a defense analyst and a political strategist. To understand Abdul Razak Baginda's involvement in this case, let's take a closer look at his role in forming Malaysia's Allied Team Task Force. Abdul Razak Baginda began his career as a trainee lecturer at the Armed Force Defense University in 1998. Due to his expertise in military strategies and secret operation, he was quickly promoted to the head of strategy studies. In the early 2000s, he formed a team called as Malaysia Strategic Research Center, which consisted of highly skilled professionals specialized in defense and political strategy. The primary goal of this team is to provide critical insights and advice on political and military issues affecting the country. As the founder and the head of this group, Razak Baginda directly worked under Najib Razak, who was not only the Deputy Prime Minister but also the Defense Minister at that time. Any significant military decisions made by Najib Razak were subjected to Abdul Razak Baginda's approval and analysis. Now you might understand the deep connection between Najib Razak and Abdul Razak Baginda. By 2008, the Malaysian court ordered an investigation on Abdul Razak Baginda. However, due to lack of evidence, he was released from all the charges. As the result, only 2 policemen were held accountable, as the evidence against them were strong. On February 3, 2009, on the day of judgment, one of the 2 policemen broke down in tears and pledged to the court, saying, "Please don't sentence us to death. We were only following orders, and due to political pressures, we couldn't refuse. The Malaysian government is sacrificing us to protect powerful political leaders." Despite the plea, the court sentenced both men to be hanged until death. Now the case seems to close, right? With both men sentenced. However, the media and the public were left with one question or a doubt. Why did this man kill Altantuya, and what was the reason behind the murder? That's exactly what Balasubramanian explained in his stationery declaration on July 1, 2009. He claimed that when Najib Razak was Malaysia's defense minister, he was involved in signing on secret contract with French defense company called DCNS. The deal was for the purchase of 3 submarines worth nearly $2 billion. As part of this deal, Najib Razak allegedly received a bribe of $200 million transferred directly into the account. Altantuya was aware of this entire process, from the signing of the contract till the bribe. But how did she know? Altantuya, being fluent in multiple languages, worked with Najib Razak as his translator. Their professional relationship turned into personal, a sexual one. Najib Razak introduced Altantuya to Razak Baginda, the defense analyst. Both Altantuya and Baginda traveled to France to finalize the submarine deal. As the translator, Altantuya was likely aware of the bribe. To keep her silent, they promised her to pay $500,000. When the money didn't come through as promised, Altantuya decided to threaten Razak Baginda, stating that she would expose the deal to media, and that's when she was killed. This was the content of Balasubramanian's SD. Once the SD was released, the case became even more controversial, and the public was desperate to uncover the full truth behind Altantuya's murder. After Balasubramanian declaring the SD, on the same evening, Najib Razak organized a conference, stating that he had never met Altantuya and all of these complete false allegations were from opposition parties. He also said since he did not commit any of the crimes, he is not going to care about these allegations. The very next day, on July 2, 2009, Balasubramanian declared his second SD, stating that all of his previous statements in the first SD was completely false. After issuing this SD, Balasubramanian went missing in Malaysia. 2 years later, in an interview with foreign media, Balasubramanian revealed that after his first SD, he was threatened by Najib Razak to remove his SD, or he and his entire family would be killed. Out of fear for his life, he issued the second SD and fled the country. He continued giving several interviews about this case, but in 2013, he died of an heart attack. Regarding the 2 men who were sentenced to death, they appealed the decision. The judgment for their appeal came in August 2013, and both men were released. Immediately after the release, one of the men left Malaysia and sought asylum in Australia. People were shocked to know that these 2 men were released even after all the evidence and witness testimony. Due to the pressure of public and media, 2 years after, the court ordered Malaysian police to rearrest both of the men and continue the investigation. As of today, 1 man remains in Australia and the other man is sentenced to prison, although this case is still going on due to further appeals. Even then, both men were sentenced to death, as no one has a clear answer on why was Altantuya murdered. All the allegations against Najib Razak and Abdul Razak Baginda were never proven. So everything we have seen so far was based on interviews and investigations by the victims and some conspiracy theories. There are still hundreds of conspiracy theories surrounding this case till date. Seems like we might never know the real reason. I will see you all in the next video. Until then, Cristiano signing off.